Today, I'm going to face up to my fears. Don't go away. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And indeed, I'm going to face one of my biggest fears, my nemesis. This diecast doesn't like me, and I don't like it. It's done nothing but fill me with heartache. You know, I'm talking about the Porsche 917. It's been nothing but the bane of my existence, but I can't live like that, okay? I have to master this casting. So I'm going to give it another whirl. Let's get to work. Okay, so I ordered this set of decals from Second Chance Redline, and if you see them, you know what they're for. They're for my nemesis, a Porsche 917. So I have these, and I'm going to dig into my junkyard because I happen to have a Porsche 917 in my junkyard, and I also have this one. But I don't really want to use this one because it's got a pretty seriously bent metal piece here that I don't think I can straighten out without breaking. So I'm going to dig in my junkyard and pull out the Porsche 917 that I have, and it was one of the ones that was giving me fits. These things have the smallest posts, and I blow the posts out all the time. So here I've got a pretty decent body, but of course got a blown out post. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to find all the stuff I have for Porsche 917s. I have some different glass pieces. I have different bases, different bodies. And we're going to try and tackle my nemesis here. So while this was supposed to be a junkyard dog, I started looking at the other car and I thought, well, you know, it's trash. What have I got to lose to try and straighten that piece out, even if it snaps off? But it'll bring with it unblown out posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill enough to get the base off because I got to get all the plastic off. Because to try to fix this, I'm going to need to heat the car up. And we'll just have to see what happens. If I was a betting man, there's no way I get this straightened out without snapping that piece off. That's honestly why I really didn't even consider this car and was looking straight into my junk box because I don't have a lot of hope that this can be fixed. So it doesn't really matter which direction I go. I'm going to have a lot of parts here. I've got a couple bodies. I've got a couple bases. I've got a couple interiors. I've got everything I need to do this casting. But I am going to turn my attention to this body and see if I can straighten this little thin metal piece out. If I snap it off, okay, could I fix it? Yeah, probably. But that's a lot of work that I'm really not anticipating. So I'm just going to get this car apart, and then we're going to break out the blowtorch. Okay, so my plan is I'm going to set the car on this wooden block. I've got a folded paper towel to hold the car with. I've got my little torch, and I'm going to just torch that metal piece. And then I've got this popsicle stick right here, and I'm going to use that to try and pull back on that metal piece and try and get it back in place. So we're holding it. We've got the stick in place. We're pulling back, and it's not really moving. So this, so far, is an epic fail. But fear not, we have needle nose pliers. So I'm going to just see if I can kind of pull it back a little bit, not too much right now, just a little bit on both sides, and that actually is moving. So we're going to bring it back a little bit on each side, retorch it, a little more, torch it, so on and so forth, until hopefully it either is back where it belongs, or until unhopefully I snap it off. One thing I love about this hobby is the surprises. just like that. This is back in place. And yeah, I'm surprised. I never thought I could fix that. So now that it's back in place, we can go ahead and drill out the posts, get them all prepped, tapped out, and ready to take a screw. But yeah, moving forward, it looks like this is not going to be a junkyard dog. It's just going to be me fighting with my arch nemesis, and we're going to see what we can do here. So why do I call this my nemesis? Well, because I've done this twice now, and both times it's just been super, super frustrating. Nothing ever goes right on this casting. The posts literally might be the smallest posts in all of Diecast, and even trying to drill them out with a 172 drill bit, it it's too small. I mean, I've blown out every post on these castings I've done. Okay, so yeah, they're a headache for me. I think the Porsche 917 is fantastic looking, and as a casting, this is a great looking casting, but I don't know. It just always gives me fits. So yeah, it is my most hated enemy. So a while back, you saw me snap one of my taps. I had a spare, but it seemed like it was time to buy a new one, so I ordered a couple new taps from Bright Vision, and we're using one of those today. The only problem I'm having is it doesn't fit in the little Bright Vision tap handle really well. It just kind of is wedged in there, but it's working fine. Anyhow, so we're going to go ahead and get this tap so we can put the screws in and move forward. Okay, so I went ahead and dropped the body into some stripper, and while looking at the base, there was this was a kid paint car. And normally, you know what I would do. I would do a kid paint car, but I actually want to just do a restoration here, so I'm not going to do that. And as such, I need to get this paint off the base. There's some on the base, there's some on the wheels, but I don't care about that. I just need to get it off the base. So I'm going to use my trusty Super Clean. This stuff is fantastic for removing chrome, and it will make short shrift of this paint that is on this plastic base. So I just put it in a jar, pour a little Super Clean on it, let it sit, and that'll take care of that. Okay, so the casting is out of the stripper. I've washed it, and I'm just wire brushing it down. And it's kind of an ugly casting, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to get an opaque paint job. Now, I was originally going to paint this an orangey color, and I'm going to make a mid-project change that's going to bite me in the behind. After I got out of the stripper, I could see inside some of the paint that was still there was just like a yellow. And so I decided that instead of orange, I'm going to paint this car yellow. Well, that's going to be a problem. The decals are pink, red, and yellow. And I didn't realize that. So I've painted the car using a yellow opaque urethane from the Redline shop. And now the decals are, I'm putting yellow on yellow. Could I have fixed it at this point? Sure, easy. Okay, I could have just thrown a new coat of paint right over the top of what's there, oranged it up a little bit. But, I just don't think it matters enough. And it certainly isn't anything I have to do to face my fears with the Porsche 917. So I'm not going to do it. I love the yellow that's on here. It has me thinking that I need to use yellow way more. I apparently don't use it enough because this looks fantastic. So I'm not going to go ahead and do anything about it. The yellow on the decals is pretty much going to disappear. But that's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. So anyhow, I've cut out the decals from Second Chance Redline. I've soaked them, and I'm applying some softener because these decals have to do a lot of bending and shaking to try to fit down onto this car. One thing I wish Second Chance would have done is put some kind of a divide where the front and back goes. I kind of had to figure it out and cut them myself, so I would have preferred it to already be kind of marked out so I knew where to separate these decals. Anyhow, I'm going to get these laid on, use a lot of softener in a couple applications, and let them dry, and then we can take and put some clear coat on this. Now, I am an early Hot Wheel guy, okay? The Sweet 16, the first couple of years, I really am not a fan of the Hot Wheels Flying Colors cars, of which this one is being made to look like. But I just felt like doing something different. The decals were there. I've got the car. And, so I'm going to go for it. And I actually, as the decals are laying down, I'm liking it more and more. It's not something I'm going to do on a regular basis, but I am enjoying the way it's looking. And so, hey, that's a plus. Okay, so with the decals completely dry, I mean completely dry, because if they're not, you're going to have problems. I can go ahead and lay down the urethane clear coat that I get from Bright Vision. And I've had problems with pinholes forming in the clear coat when I'm going over decals. I think I found the trick here. I use a lot less hardener in the mix, and I do not layer this on. I kind of put on a tack coat, put it on light, but I never really stop painting. I just trust that it's dried and gummed up enough, and I just keep rolling. And from that, I will pretty much go straight into a heavy wet coat. And it seems to do the trick. It's when I start to layer it, and air bubbles are still coming out of the lower layers, and they're trying to make their way up through the upper layers, and that's when I start getting pinholes. This has solved my pinhole issue over decals. So, like I said, I'm going to go with just like a tack coat at first, and just keep painting until I'm doing pretty much a heavy wet coat. And I'll do that until the car has the gloss and shine that I want, and then we'll set it aside to dry. Okay, so the base is out of the super clean. Of course, that paint came right off. And now I just need to get rid of these ugly, ugly wheels. I'm going to save these axles, and I'm going to use the hot swap hubs and put some hub-style red lines on here. So I'm just using a pair of nippers, and I'm going to nip away the wheel, being careful not to damage the axle. Nipping these wheels away isn't the easiest thing in the world because they're kind of meaty in the middle. But if you got a nice sharp pair of like sprue cutters or something, you can get these off. I just kind of chew away at them until they come off. All right, and then once I have them off, we can turn to the hot swap hubs, and they're such a wonderful invention for this hobby. You can use almost any axle and put redline hub style wheels on your castings. These things are fantastic. I have a bunch of them. I stocked up because I never want to run out of these things. I love them. So the way I put the hot swap hubs on is I use a pair of needle nose pliers, and I hold them on the flat sides, one half of the hub away from the slot. Then I hold them pretty tight. Okay, you got to squeeze them pretty good because they'll move around on you. And then I just try and hook one little corner over the edge of the axle, and then kind of worm it on. Once I've got it on there enough that it will hold itself, I can let go of it, and then use my finger to push the rest of the way on until I get that satisfying click, and I know it's in place. So once I have the hot swap hubs on, I can use any of the wheels from Bright Vision, the hub style wheels, even original hub style wheels. If that's your thing, that's fine. And then they just pop on as if this was a regular old hub style Hot Wheel. So you just kind of pop them on, and you're a business. And lo and behold, you've replaced your wheels. It's fantastic. It really is. Now we just need to convince Bright Vision to make more styles of wheels. So the main style glass I have is brand new, so I don't need to do anything with that. But the little back window is kind of scummy and old, and so I'm going to use my Flitz, and I'm going to put a little dab on there. I'm going to polish this up, and then everybody will get some gauzy. All right, a little dunk will do ya. Always make sure you wick away the excess, and then I'll put these in my onion saver and put them off to the side. Make sure they're completely dry, so when I handle them, I don't do something silly like put a fingerprint or something in the glass. So, anyhow, gauzy, gauzy, gauzy. All right, so look, I had a couple little issues. Like, for example, I got the post drilled out, but when I went to tap the rear post, the side blew out. It ended up not being a big deal because as I looked at the body of the casting, there's a big chunk of metal in the engine compartment there that you can continue to drill into. So that's all I did is I just drilled into that and just used the long screw. Everything was fine. Okay, so that was the biggest issue. The other issue was the decal color. But, I ended up not worrying about that. And I think the car looks fantastic. I'm really happy with it. And I think maybe my nemesis and I have made friends with each other. What do you think? So, one thing, I don't know if I don't have the rear glass in correctly or whatever, it does not fit right. That may be a ramification of the fact that that one piece was bent. I don't know. But it's on, it's attached. It doesn't sit down properly, but I don't know that there's much else I can do about it, and I sure don't want to break the part. So, anyhow, I'm going to call this one done. Here it is in all its glory. All right, there it is, a Porsche 917 that I don't hate. It came out pretty darn good. The only issue on it, is really first, truth in advertising, the back window was all popped out, not sitting right. I tweaked it just now and retook the glamour shots for it because it was. I'll put a picture right here so you can see what it was doing. And so, actually, put it right here, I think. So, you see, it's kind of all popped up. Well, I fixed that, and it sits in pretty nice. So, really, all that's left is the yellows being so close together. I should have done something different there, but I was far enough along that, and the car was looking good, and I really liked the yellow, and I just decided not to. So there it is. No matter how you slice it, I'm really happy with that. And dare I say that maybe the Porsche 917 and I are seeing eye to eye, as it were. Maybe we're not so diametrically opposed. Maybe just, I don't know. Have I started a new relationship? I don't know. We can only hope. Tell me what you think about the Porsche 917. Anyhow, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a giant thumbs up, click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss one of my videos. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. But for now, that's going to do it. I'm going to wrap things up. I hope the rest of your day is phantasmagorically wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Until next time, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying, be good.